encourager. I empower. I uplift. I do it naturally. It's right here. This is who I am. I exhort. I uplift. I failed my national licensure exam 5 times. And 5 times I uplifted myself. And now I have a workshop called The Power of Failure. When the pandemic hit, I looked inside of who I am to contribute out. I used my natural gifts to contribute out. I started a private practice. Now, societal struggles with mental health and the stigma attached to them are old news in our Black and Brown communities at large. We've grappled with various mental health issues like depression and anxiety for as far back as we can recall. So what's the difference today? COVID-19. Not just the intruder itself, but the stay-at-home order that it invited to tag along with it. We'll call that guest quarantine isolation. That acts as a kryptonite with like this weakening effect, having us to experience something that we never have. It's separated us from our most basic fabric and left us to grapple with our self-identity and our significance in the absence of things like our financial, our social, our religious, and the mental crutches that we've been relying on to shape and express our individual constructs. Failure forced me into my significance. COVID-19 is proving to be the culprit for many others. Several of my private practice clients sought me for assistance to mentally manage this quarantine. And what I discovered, I've labeled identity separation. That's what I want to talk about. And let's take a look at a few of these clients. Meet Football Rick. He's a high school All-American football player. He was voted most popular, most likely to succeed. He's well sought by recruiters from all over the country, and he looks forward to a very promising professional career. And then there's actress Angela. She's accomplished and award-winning. She's always known what her next role is, even in her current role. And although she's a good wife and a good mom, she realizes that those roles have only been satisfying alongside of her career. And lastly, we have Pastor Paul. He presides over a highly energetic urban church of over 1,000 congregants. He's always based his effectiveness on the feedback from the audience and from the community recognition, but not necessarily on the changed lives. So many of my clients, everyday people like me and you, with and without mental health diagnosis, struggle with mental health issues like anxiety without the work that they do. They're experiencing a deep sense of loss, a void in their significance without the work that they've been able to do. Many people are left to question, who am I without the work that I do? Well, during this pandemic, we should be finding our identity not by what we do, but by making sure that what we do is attached to our true identity. Okay, so let's go a little further. We all go through what's called the psychosocial developmental stage, okay? We usually go through that stage around the ages of 12 to 19. If we successfully make our way through those stages, then we tend to be firm and have a coherent sense of who we are. But if not, we tend to experience some confusion. We're not comfortable in our skin. We have a hard time blending in and some anxiety. Now, separation anxiety usually happens in early childhood, but not always. Separation anxiety is characterized by a sense of stress or fear that occurs when a person is separated from either another person or even an object that they've been removed or separated from. But in these cases, people have been separated from their work and from their position. So now let's go a little bit further to explore how COVID, along with identity and separation, may impact significance. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans report that they had a physical reaction by merely thinking about the coronavirus outbreak. And the United States leads other countries by at least 8% in its impact on mental health and isolation in general and at large. So let's take a moment and let's go back. Let's take a look at our friends. Football Rick. Now, because of COVID, he's off the field. Now he sits in his designated square of the Zoom classroom like everybody else. His academic performance brings him no attention whatsoever, and his Letterman jacket has no special appeal. Actress Angela, because of COVID, now she's not on set. Though the spotlight will return, right now she's at home with no opportunity to shine. Remember, she has a beautiful family, she has health and safety, but with no lights, camera, action, for her, it's simply, sorry, Miss Jackson. And then there's Pastor Paul. Because of COVID, suddenly people are looking to him for significance and hope, but he's ashamed to admit that he himself is struggling. He can't share his truth because his feelings seem so small in comparison to any of theirs. He's gone from these energetic crowds to a simple camera lens and virtual service. Now his work is his biggest motivation for reopening the church. I'm hoping that by now you're beginning to get a better understanding of how identity and separation anxiety can threaten significance. My 3 clients have all learned a very simple but a very important key factor. And that is, if you depend on what you do to identify who you are, then what you do can hold you hostage from who you are. It's especially important during times like this that we make the distinction then between doing and being. I can fail a test, but I am not a failure. There are so many things that I can do, that we can do, but no one can take away who we are. No activity, no decision, no endorsement. You can only give it away. So the words, "I'm leaving you," can be absolutely devastating and crushing if you've based your identity in the attachment to a person. And then if they leave you, you're left to wonder, who am I without them? Crazy thing is, at some point, we've all relied on fallible things for significance. What have you relied on? Your talent, your last name, material possessions, wealth, title, reputation, social circles? Significance is an inner power. It's an inner power that sits at the essence of you. Who you are begins with an innate being, and then it joins along with that doing and that being. And it recognizes our imperfections, our weaknesses, but it accepts them. It adjusts and it grows from them. And when you're tapped into your significance, you use your talents to contribute and empower others, even when it is yourself as necessary. It's at that point that you can firmly say, "I am," period. I am, and that is enough. All other titles from that point are simply added. So today, I am also a psychotherapist, a wife, a mom, a co-pastor, a teacher, a manager, a mentor, a director, an educator, an entertainer, a neighbor, a cousin, a sister, a friend, a best friend. I will never be separated from my identity because my significance is innate. And guess what? Yours is too, even amidst this pandemic, which seems to be leaving a lasting mark. So are you ready for the new normal? My overarching aim here is not to prepare you for when the world opens back up, but to make sure that you firmly understand and know your significance without it being threatened by any anxiety or any other mental health stronghold in case it closes down again. No question, the state of the world today is mind-blowing. To some degree, we're all managing anxiety because of it, but we can mitigate it if we can reframe it. Yes, we're down. But instead of allowing the circumstance to bring down the essence of us, let's bridge together the various pieces of us and the facets of ourselves to embrace our true identity and to lock into our significance and to allow it to propel us outward, up underneath from beneath this pandemic, in spite the gravity of the situation. Listen, if COVID has stopped something that you do, it may be pointing you to something that you need to do. Keep that in mind, and you'll never be separated from your identity again. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for inviting me. And now go and be great.